Hello YouTube, it's Shadow Hero 90. I know I haven't done one of these in 5 years, but I'm gonna get back into reviewing comic books as well as other things. And in this episode of Shadow Reviews, I'm gonna be reviewing issue 1 of Batman The Adventure Continues. Our story starts off with Batman essentially picking a fight with Bane and actually tranquilizing him, when suddenly a giant robot appears in Gotham City and is smashing up buildings. Batman dives in. We actually hear Detective Bullock drop the F-bomb when Batman asks he's alright. Now, I gotta say, that is something we would have never gotten during the run of the animated series this comic is based on. Batman goes off to confront the robot as a mysterious man is standing there watching him. But of course, Batman tracks this robot to Wayne Enterprises, where it breaks in and Batman confronts it. The metal monstrosity grabs something at Wayne Tech and flies off with it, with Batman declaring it won the first round. Then, in the Batcave, Alfred tells Bruce about this party that Bruce Wayne has to attend. And to further show that this is set on Earth 12, or as it's better known, the DCAU, we see Bruce Wayne interacting with Veronica Freeland, who was a cartoon exclusive character and never appeared in the comics, thus proving that this art style is not a stylistic choice and it is set in the DCAU. Bruce talks to Lex Luthor about the robbery that occurred the previous night, along with the mysterious disappearance of Superman, to which Lex Luthor claims he had nothing to do with. And when I say that, I mean he's claiming that he had nothing to do with either event. Later, in the Batcave, Bruce calls Clark Kent, but gets the answering machine. Batman then tracks Lex Luthor's robot down to the warehouse, where he is then attacked by Lex. And it turns out that inside the box that Lex stole from Wayne Enterprises is Brainiac's head, which is more or less proof that Justice League Unlimited and the new Batman Adventures, aka Batman the Animated Series Season 4, both happen simultaneously, with the events of the prior occurring first. So anyways, Batman throws a Batarang directly into Brainiac's head, causing it to fire a laser that knocks Lex Luthor out of the building, but then Luthor runs away and flies off. So anyways, later in the Batcave, assumably the next night, Batman reveals this new flying powered suit that he's gonna use to fight against Lex Luthor's robot. And yeah, I'm just gonna say it, this is the Dark Knight armor. And since a flaming roof fell on top of Batman when he was saving Montoya in the episode POV, I am 100% certain that Batman does not need this mech suit to fight Lex Luthor's robot. And this story takes place in between Justice League Unlimited and Season 4. I can obviously say Batman has gotten a lot stronger since the events of Season 1. And I'm completely convinced that this suit was only put into this comic book as the means of fan service, nothing else. So anyways, while going over the schematics of Lex Luthor's robot with Alfred, Batman finds out that what seems to be a second cockpit is not a cockpit, but actually a battery. Later that night, Batman, in the Dark Knight armor, essentially interrogates someone who worked for Luthor and tells him where Luthor is, essentially on this cargo plane. Batman flies up and attacks the cargo plane. Lex Luthor flies out in his power suit and takes on Batman. They then fight until Luthor is forced to retreat and resort to using the robot. He sends it out at the Dark Knight, and Batman takes on Luthor's giant robot once again. Using a kryptonite charge, Batman is able to free Superman from inside of the giant robot. As it turns out, Superman didn't go missing after his last fight with Lex Luthor. Lex had captured him and was using him like a solar battery to pilot that giant robot. Superman then flies Lex and Marcy to prison. Later on, Superman returns and Batman has him take Brainiac's head and throw it into the sun. We then cut to Gotham City as a man walks the streets, or in this case a teenager, and it turns out that this guy who we've been following throughout the course of this comic is actually Jason Todd, the second Robin. And not only does he have a grudge with Batman, as well as most likely the Joker, but it's kind of obvious that they're going to do the Red Hood storyline in the future. Most likely either at the end of this run or after the next issue where Batman goes up against Deathstroke. Okay, and in closing, I really gotta say, reading this comic book essentially took me back to my childhood, back when I was a little kid. Back when this design for Batman was new, and we got the 4th season of Batman the Animated Series. I really gotta say, when I heard Detective Bullock drop the F-bomb, I was impressed. We would have never gotten that on the animated series, well, back when it was running. Hell, we didn't even get that on Gotham when that was running. But then again, we're apparently going to get a lot of things out of Batman the Adventures Continue that we would have never gotten during the show's original run. Stuff like the revelation that the new Batman Adventures and Justice League Unlimited take place simultaneously. That's something that the fan base has wondered about for years. I knew that that's how it went even before this comic's release. And the Dark Knight armor from the modeled after the one from The Dark Knight Returns and Batman v Superman was a really good piece of fan service. With all the things we've been hearing on the internet about Michael Keaton potentially returning to reprise his role as the Burton-versus version of Batman, I really do think that Warner Brothers should expand on that. If they're gonna bring Michael Keaton back as Batman, they should revive Batman the Animated Series or the new Batman Adventures, give it a 5th season, and put it on Adult Swim. I mean, if they're trying to milk 90s nostalgia, this is literally the golden fleece of 90s nostalgia. Come on, Time Warner, Warner Brothers, AT&T, make it happen. You have no idea how much the fans would love it and how many fans would love you for it. You could even put it on HBO Max if you wanted to. So anyways, allow me to end this review by saying Batman the Adventures Continue Issue 1 is a fantastic read. I cannot wait to see what this series has in store for us in the future. And if you can find a copy of it, you should pick it up. It is beyond amazing.